spells and some other skills have their base critical hit chance listed on the skill. Okay, so the skill gives it critical hit chance. And critical hit chances for attacks are based off the weapon. Here it's based off the skill. Okay. Most modifiers critical. I'll forget this stuff. Most modifiers for critical hit chance are percentage based. For example, getting 100% increased critical hit chance on a base critical hit chance of 7 would be a final result in the final critical hit chance of 14. Right, got it. Not benefit from exposing their own base damage, cast speed, and critical hit chance determined by the skill. They do not benefit from the weapon consumer damage, attack speed, or critical hit chance. So if the weapon casts a spell, it's still going to have its own criteria for why it does what it does. Or, like, if you can hit with a staff and swing it versus cast with a staff, it just doesn't have anything to do with the attack potential of the weapon versus the spell skill potential of the weapon. Alright, so that's cool. That's spell. Staves are two-handed spellcasting weapons that require intelligence to equip. So we have intelligence, dexterity, strength. Life? Don't look at this thing yet. Stop. We'll come over to you in a second. Okay, intelligence attribute required to use most equipment that grants energy shield. Well, that didn't work. Let's see, what was I doing? Alright. Whoa, there we go. Okay, I'm not used to having playing a game right now where borderless is really working well. I mean, it feels like a luxury. Okay, what am I doing? Where was I at? Okay. Intelligence is the attribute required to use most equipment that grants energy shield. Strength, dexterity, and intelligence are the three primary attributes. The most important of attributes is to meet requirements. The most important use of attributes is to meet requirements to use equipment and gems. Required to use equipment that grants energy shield. Energy shield protects your life by taking damage instead. Okay. Rapidly recharges if you don't lose energy shield for a short time. Okay. Chaos damage removes twice as much energy shield. Damage from bleeding and poison bypasses energy shield to remove life drain. So energy shield's not going to stop bleeding and poisoning damage. Okay. But, you know, I need to look at that. Ooh. Lost energy shield will start recharging at a rate. No. Hey, buddy. Don't do that, though. Lost energy shield. Willy Willers. Hello, Willy Willers. Willy Willers need a pet on his bahonkus. Hello, Willy Willers. Okay, lost energy shield will start recharging at a rate of 12.5% per second after a base delay of 4 seconds. So 4 seconds and then 8 if you had lost it all to get it full up without getting hit. Further loss of energy shield resets this delay, so get hit and you're going to need to find a way to stave off damage for 4 seconds to start getting some energy shield back. Okay, instead, wait. What? Something is messed up here. Oh, I think I went underneath. Okay, that was just it. It was over. Resets delay, interrupting recharge. Okay, that was it. Hey, Willers. How you do, Willy Boo? Hey, Willers. Good doggo. Ow, stop now. Chaos damage is one of the 5 damage types. It's reduced by chaos resistance. Chaos damage is the least common damage type and removes twice as much energy shield as the damage value when taken. So you do 20 points of chaos damage, you get 40 points of energy shield. You know what? I'm gonna what? Hunt. Hello? You wanna go outside? No more snackers, man. You've been snackered out. You've had lots of snacks. He's a good winner, son. He's a good winner, boo. Hello, winner, boo. Where were we? About chaos damage is one of the 5 damage types. And I was interested in that. Alright, physical fire, cold, lightning, chaos. Okay. Fire, cold, lightning, chaos. Let's see. Resistance to reduced damage taken for the corresponding damage types. Fire, cold, lightning, chaos. Up to a maximum. Fire, cold, lightning, chaos. Up to a maximum. Up to a maximum. That's kind of forcing me to look at what's a maximum. The default maximum for elemental chaos resistance is 75%. Maximum resistance cannot be raised above 90%. So defaults are at the default maximum is 75%, and you can't get above 90. You're going to take some damage, and then I guess physical damage requires shields or armor or something like that. I guess. Don't want to go too deep. Oh man, I need to see what that said though. Wait a minute. I don't know. No, I don't. We're going too deep right now. We don't need to know this right now. We can learn. This is good though. A good way to learn a lot. Bleeding is wow, man. Look at all that information. Bleeding is an element that deals physical damage over time and lasts 5 seconds by default. Damage from bleeding bypasses energy shield. Bleeding deals an extra 100% damage while the target is moving, or if the bleeding is aggravated. If the bleeding is aggravated. But this is so cool. I have to let myself play, but this is cool. Okay. This looks like there's love been baked into this cake. Okay, bleeding is an ailment. Ailments are a family of common debuffs associated with specific damage types. The list of elements is bleeding, ignite, chill, freeze, shock, electrocute, and poison. Okay. Physical damage is one of the 5 damage types. It's the most common, the only one reduced by armor rather than a resistance. Most physical damage comes from weapon attacks, but some spells and other skills deal physical damage as well. Physical damage over time can be inflicted with bleeding. Let's see what aggravation means in this case. Bleeding that's been aggravated always treats the target as moving, dealing 100%. So if you're bleeding, you gotta stop moving. If I'm bleeding and I think I'm going to die from it, I need to stop. If I've got some kind of skill that lets me do more damage whenever I'm hurt, maybe I want to try to walk the razor's edge, right? But presumably, you know, you either stop the bleeding or stop the moving. All right. It will remain aggravated until its duration expires. Aggravating one bleeding debuff does not affect other instances of bleeding on the target or bleeding applied afterwards. Each instance of bleeding is aggravated separately. Okay. Any damage to damage over time is hit damage. Damage contributing to elements. Physical damage from hits contributes to bleeding magnitude. Okay. Damage contributing to elements. By default, specific elements are calculated based on only specific damage types, such as fire damage of a hit mattering when inflicting ignite. By default, let's do that again. Specific elements are calculated based on only specific damage types, such as fire damage of a hit mattering when inflicting ignite. Okay. Allow damage. I think I left the word as. No, I had it. I lost the meaning. Such as only the fire damage of a hit mattering when inflicting ignite. Right? If you're not inflicting ignite, then the fire damage of a hit's not going to be calculated as the possibility of contributory damage due to the element, which in this case would be burning, I guess. Allowing another damage type to contribute to an element means that all damage of the relevant types is summed when performing calculations for that element. I think I need to see element. Elements are a family of common debuffs associated with specific damage types. The list. Okay, bleeding, ignite, chill, freeze, shock, electric. Allowing another damage. Okay, so by default, I need to read this again. By default, specific elements are calculated based on only specific damage types. Let's look at damage types. Okay, so elemental elements are based off of, you know, elemental damage. Chaos damage would be based off of elements would be based off chaos. I don't know if what poison goes under. Bleeding goes under physical. Okay. Fire damage from hits contributes both to the chance of ignite and the magnitude. I didn't even know what magnitude is. The magnitude, I mean in this case, the magnitudes of a buff or a debuff the magnitudes of a buff or debuff. Oh man, this is kind of hard to read over. So I'm almost focused on lose. The magnitude of a buff or debuff are the values of the stats it applies to a target. A buff or debuff with higher magnitude is more powerful. Modifiers to the magnitude of buffs or debuffs come from whoever applies it, and are multiplicative modifiers to the effect of the buff or debuff has on the target. Multiplicative with modifiers. So again, kind of like what we saw earlier. With the criticals. Okay. The base magnitude of bleeding is physical damage per second equal to 3% of the physical damage of the hit. Okay, this calculates the final damage dealt by the hit, but not any modifiers on the target that affect how much damage they will take from the hit. This is calculated using the final damage dealt by the hit, but not any modifiers on the target that affect how much damage they will take from the hit. The magnitude is not further affected by any modifiers to the damage you deal. Let's read that again. The base magnitude of bleeding is physical damage per second equal to 15% of the physical damage of the hit that inflicted it. Okay, I hit you for 10, you take a 1.5 per second. That's for what, 5 seconds. So if you said 0.5, I guess it depends on if it rounds or what. This is calculated, or if it counts damage out to what place. This is calculated using the final damage dealt by the hit, but not any modifiers on the target that affect how much damage they will take. So it's the final damage dealt by the hit itself, and not additional damage that might be added. So you're doing 15% of the hit. So like it would like behoove you to have like some heavy raw physical damage on your weapons when you're trying to bleed. Okay. Modifiers and debuffs that affect the enemy's ability to mitigate damage, such as shock. Modifiers and debuffs that affect the enemy's ability to mitigate damage. So shock affects your ability to mitigate damage. You're going to take more, right? It can affect the damage the enemy takes from bleeding. Modifiers and debuffs that affect the enemy's ability to mitigate damage. Okay, so you're 20% less effective at mitigating damage under shock. You take bleeding damage, so there's 20% more potentiality of damage from the bleeding damage than there would have been for the enemy's basic resistance, all things given to bleeding, because they're under the element of shock, maybe something like that. Okay, but any such modifiers that specifically apply to hit damage, such as armor break, do not affect bleeding damage. Okay. So you don't get credit for armor breaking. I don't know exactly on that one. I'll have to play with that character for a while to really learn the system. I like it. I like this. It looks like it's definitely going to be what's the word I'm looking for? Comprehensive and involved. It's going to take me a while, but I'll enjoy this. Energy shield protects your life by taking damage instead. Rapidly recharges. Okay. Damage from bleeding, poison is an element. This is chaos damage. Okay. Only 2 seconds. Damage from poison bypasses energy shield. Physical and chaos damage from hits contribute to poison magnitude. Physical and chaos damage from hits. Physical damage from a hit. Chaos damage from a hit. Let's say bleeding. Physical damage from hits contribute to bleeding magnitude. Okay, with poison you get physical and chaos damage from hits. Okay, damage does not contribute to poison chance, so it cannot be inflicted without an explicit source of poison chance. Okay, so where'd that go? Damage does not contribute to poison. Is that the same kind of contribute there? Yeah, okay. Damage does not contribute to poison chance. By default, specific elements are calculated based on their specific damage types. Fire is affected by fire damage of a hit mattering when inflicting ignite. Okay, right, okay. Allowing their damage type to contribute to an element, so physical and chaos for poison damage, means that the all damage types, all damage of the relevant types, those that can contribute, are summed when performing calculations for the element. Okay. Now, what were we looking at over? Why did? Contribute to poison magnitude, and magnitude is how powerful it is. It does not contribute to poison chance. Oh, to poison chance. Damage does not contribute. I read that wrong. I was like, I'm so confused. I thought it does or it doesn't. It doesn't contribute to poison chance, so it cannot be inflicted without an explicit source of poison chance. So you've got to have some way to poison. You can't just do damage. Oh, we poison. That, of course, that makes sense. The base magnitude of poison is chaos damage per second equal to 20% of the physical and chaos damage dealt by the hit that inflicted it. The base magnitude of poison is chaos damage per second equal to 20% of the physical and chaos damage dealt by the hit that inflicted it. So, 15 points physical, 18 points chaos. That's 33. 6.6 damage is the base magnitude of the poison damage over 2 seconds. 13.2. If nothing else is having an effect one way or another, something like that. Okay, I guess. This is using the final. This is calculated using the final damage dealt by the hit, but not any modifiers on the target that affect how much damage they will take from the hit. So, you know, because if a hit did 100, but then they have defenses that drop it to 80, or they have, you know, particular susceptibility that makes it 150. That's not going to affect this. This is going to be affected by the raw hit damage that you would do, like if they were just some kind of a completely neutral target that was going to take exactly what you gave them from that raw hit damage, I guess. This magnitude is not further affected by any modifiers to the damage you deal. Right, it's just poison and chaos. Physical chaos. Again, modifiers and debuffs that affect the enemy's ability to mitigate damage. Okay, so can affect the damage the enemy takes from poison, but any such modifiers that specifically apply to hit damage, such as penetration, do not affect poison damage. So I guess it's kind of like, again, it's kind of like saying, you know, whatever base damage you're going to do, shock might remove some of their ability to shake it off, but I guess penetration is like an extra, like, is it more like a special shock kind of damage? It's not going to add to it. It's just going to be that you're not going to get, you're getting a partial synergy with that debuff. The shock category or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so we gotta play. Okay, but let's see, we'll get rid of that. Intelligence attribute required to use most equipment to grant energy shields was various. I'm playing her, so this matters. Okay. Intelligence attribute required to use most equipment that grants energy shield, as well as various spell-aligned weapons and skills. Okay, every one intelligence grants plus 2 mana. But you must have base mana also, because that's 30 mana, but I got 64 here, so, okay. Intelligence does not grant damage to skills or any other benefits except where specifically stated. So intelligence is the gateway to the ability to use the skill, but you're not getting anything else special off of it, not like old D&D rules or something like that. Maybe new D&D rules. I don't know how it is. But many years. Okay, that's cool. Back off of it. Staves are two-handed spellcasting weapons that require intelligence equipped. Staves cannot be used to attack. Okay, so you're not going to get any raw physical damage. However, they grant inbuilt spells. Spells are skills used raw magic to destroy your enemies, based on the staff type and powerful bonuses to spells. Okay, it's a staff. We've got that. Firebolt is a spell. Area of effect, projectile, and fire. So these are the categories that type of spell. It's an area effect spell. It's a projectile spell. It's a fire spell. It's a level 1 spell with a cast time of 9/10 of a second and a critical hit chance of 8%. So if you were to say you have something that gave you 500% chance at boosting critical hit chance, then it would be like 48% chance for a critical hit. If I understand, I could be wrong on that, but I think, because if it was 100%, it'd be 16. So I'm presuming that you would just take the multiplicative, like 5 times 8, that'd be 40%, and add it to the original base crit chance. Launches a fiery projectile towards the target. The projectile explodes upon impact, damaging foes in a small area. Okay, I want to see that. Spin that puppy. Okay, deal 7 to 11 fire, let's see. Projectile is a moving attack or spell that usually impacts targets when it hits them. When a group of multiple projectiles is fired at the same source at the same time, only one projectile in the group can hit each target unless otherwise specified. When a group of multiple projectiles is fired from the same source at the same time, only one projectile in the group can hit each target unless otherwise specified. So, like when that quill thing was firing at me, only one quill could hit me. So if there was like me and I was a necromancer, I had 4 buddies, and it fired 5 quills. It could hit me and 4 others, but it couldn't hit me once, and one of them twice, and one of them once, and another one once, something like that. When group multiple, maybe it can, because it says when specified, right? Otherwise specified. It could be otherwisely specified from them. is fired from the same source at the same time. Only one projectile in the group can hit each target, unless otherwise specified. Projectile, 7 to 10 fire damage. Fire damage is one of the 5 damage types. It's produced by fire resistance. Fire hits have a chance to ignite based on how much fire damage is dealt. I do think we should look at this ignite thing and see what's... Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Oh, that was interesting. You could click on it and pass the... you could click through and pass the window, the permanent focus of the window over to the next the click through, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm not saying it. You can take your pinned your pinned status on that window and pass it through to the next click item. 4 seconds by default. Fire. I need to. I'm gonna look at this. This is who I'm playing, so this matters here for me. Ignite is an element that deals fire damage over time and lasts for 4 seconds by default. Fire damage from hits contribute to both the chance. Fire damage from hits contributes to both the chance to ignite and the magnitude of ignite. So now fire damage is chance to ignite and magnitude of ignite. Hits dealing more fire damage ignite more often. So the greater the fire damage, the more likely to ignite. Makes sense. And inflict stronger ignites. So not just only the greater chance to ignite, but you're not going to get hit with a huge fireball and be like, oh my goodness, I've got a tiny bit of a flame on my jacket. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, I don't have skin. I smell disgustingly, sickly, delicious or something. I don't want to ever smell a human being. You always hear that they say it's sickly sweet. I wonder if that. I always wonder if that meant, and I don't want to know. And I don't want to personally know, but I would be okay with knowing the intellectual answer, right? I just don't want the experience. But I always wonder if that was meant that it was because you knew you were smelling that person, and if that so it was horrifying, or if it was a specific smell. Like if you ever worked like in a some place that was like sold ice cream or like snow cones or something like that. If you ever worked like an amusement park or in an ice cream parlor or something, if things got messy or whatever, you could start to smell this sickly sweet smell of the sugar, and I don't know what else it was, but it was not pleasant. Not a pleasant smell. That was sickly sweet. I don't know if that's what they mean by sickly sweet, because I know of a smell that's sickly sweet, or if they mean that it's more of a psychological thing, like you smell a person, they smell like bacon, that makes you want to hate yourself because you're like, is there something wrong with me? So your mind says this is a bad smell. I don't know. Like I said, not going to find out by experience. Don't want to know, but I'm intellectually curious, I suppose, because it's just information. My thought would be that you probably wouldn't smell bad if you were cooking. I mean, most, I like the smell of meat, animals. So anyway, I got off on this, but more fire damage, ignite more often, inflict stronger ignites. By default, the hit has a 1% chance to ignite for every 4% of the time. A hit has a 1% chance to ignite. And hits contribute. Fire damage from hits contribute to both the chance and the magnitude. They deal more. If the hit deals more fire damage, it ignites more often, and it inflicts stronger ignites. That's the chance and the damage magnitude. By default, the hit has a 1% chance, period, to ignite if it can, right? For every 4% of the target's element threshold dealt. So if you hit them for like 40% of their element threshold, you have a 10% chance to ignite. A higher element threshold makes it less likely that a hit by elemental damage will apply to the relevant element, as well as lowering the amount of freeze and electrocute buildup received. That's what a higher element threshold does. And it lowers the amount of freeze and electrocute buildup received. A lower element threshold makes it more likely, increases buildup of freeze and electrocute received. Fire is a different beast here, apparently. The base magnitude of ignite is fire damage per second equal to 20% of the fire damage dealt by the hit that inflicted. Here, the fire damage is 7 to 11. So if we hit him for 10, the base magnitude of ignite would be 2 points per second. How many seconds? So 8 points of damage. Let's calculate. But it could get worse if you hit with heavier. Let's see. This is the same boilerplate now. I mean, I'll need the experience to get the stick, but I'm saying it's not something I haven't already read. Penetration causes a specified amount to be subtracted from the target's corresponding resistance when determining the damage they take from a hit to a minimum of 0. Since penetration only affects hits and applies to the target's defensive stats rather than to your own offensive stats, it does not affect damage with elements. Oh, right, because a hit's damage that any damage that isn't damage over time is hit damage. So, let's read that again. Since penetration only affects damage that's not damage over time, and it applies to the target's defensive stats rather than your own offensive stats, it's not